big black dildo. So this is part 2 of the 1/1000th Enterprise and Reliant build. So where we're going to start off now is kind of get somewhat ready to light block. So just kind of going through any little modifications that if I should do now. Most of it will be done later. So I kind of already went through it and looked at it. Just a recap of some of the modifications from the last video is, which by the way, I can see it's going to be happening throughout, is removing tabs of the snap lock tabs, because technically this is a snap lock kit. But we'll recap on the upper part of the saucer. On the inside, there were 4 tabs that were basically snap lock. Just cut them off, make them flush, including the little round post ones. Get rid of them and hog out part of the ring where there's going to be lights for RCS thrusters and navigation. And of course, you know, the hole drone, which was the main part of the last video. On the lower saucer, kind of the same thing. Remove the posts that's around here. That's about it for this one. It's mainly for the saucer. It's really the lip around here. Anything else interesting? Of course, you know, for the light, had to remove a post here, which this one should not be in the way, but what the hell, just get rid of it anyways, at least most of it. So that's kind of done. As of now, I don't really see much that I have to get rid of. Eventually I think I will be, because I'm going to be putting in the photo etch arboretum, but we'll get to that when we get towards assembling that part. Same thing I'm going to end up having to do is, I know I'm going to be removing some of these posts just so I can actually run some wiring for the lighting for the nacelle. And also, from what I can see, is I definitely are going to have to remove this post right here. And of course, for the lighting kit, this inner is going to come out, but I don't have to worry about that yet. But there is a couple mods I already did already. It's mainly for the bridge and the lower planetary sensor, which will start with the bridge. The bridge had 2, it's going to be hard to do with my fingers, but anyways, just kind of point out. The bridge had 2 tabs, one here and one here. It's for the snap lock. I just went ahead and cut them off. I made sure this one was flush. This one don't really need to be as flush. It kind of will go into the back right here, so it gives it a little bit of something. There's nothing really lighted right here, but I made this flush right here, and luckily for this kit, you know, it has these ridges here so the bridge can sit on, and it is spaced to where it'll allow light to show through. But for the lower planetary sensor, there is really much nothing. So using a file like this, it's roughly about 1/8 of an inch wide. It's a square one. What I did was kind of just hogged out, it's going to be hard to see, but in the front and the sides and all the way around, I just pretty much hogged it out. So I'll have a place to put a very small LED or an SMD and fit it over it. And of course, you got to remove the 2 posts that's over here, which is for these holes, and the snap tight posts. But there will be some putty work, obviously, because of these. It's actually kind of bigger than what it should be. So there will be some putty work and some re-cleaning out. That's what I'm seeing so far. So that's pretty much the rundown of the mods so far, which is just, like I said, the bridge and the planetary sensor. I thought about the fantail because especially doing the giant 350, you know, you got all the details. You know, up here is supposed to be like the, I don't know, I believe the tractor beam emitter. No, these are the tractor beam emitters. They're supposed to be blue. And this up here is red for something. I forgot exactly what it is. You know, I kept looking at it like, how am I actually going to do this? Because I would do it if I can, but it's really small and it presses right up against the hull. There's just, I don't really see a way of lighting it. Plus, this plastic right up here is so thick just for this little tiny red light to go through. So, unfortunately, I am not going to be trying to light that little part that you probably won't see. Maybe I'll figure something out, like something reflective, just to give it an illusion. But until then, no. So, I'm going to set this aside in my paint area. And right now, we'll go touch on the Reliant. Goddamn motherfucker. So, the Reliant. This one here, I'm starting to notice that it's going to take more custom modifications than the Enterprise. It's like they skimped out on the details on this one. So, let me just get right to it. Other than, you'll recap of the previous stuff where the only real modifications is deal with the lip around here so it's not obstructing any of your future lighting, like hogging down or whatever. It's pretty much that. But what I see in the future, what kind of modifications that's going to be done is obviously for the big wing here, in order to get wiring to the nacelles, there ain't really much room in here at all. So, and these parts are thin, so it's not like I can really dig a channel. So what I'm probably going to have to do, of course, I'm going to have to remove and flatten out some of these tabs, and I'll probably have to use magnet wire, or, you know, because at least magnet wire is a wire itself with just a coating, where if I use 30 gauge, even though that would be ideal, but just with the sheathing on there kind of makes it a little bit thicker. So the clearance is what I'm really looking for on this. So cross that bridge when I get there, or burn it right to the ground. And of course later on we have to cut out the shuttle bays, because the photo etch parts, you know, it says to remove it. It has two foldable pieces, which is awesome because it has grooves for correct lighting on here. Of course, you know, just looking at the rest of this crap on making sure on how to do it. Actually, you know what? That's right. I don't really have to go much in here. Only a couple wires for the photon torpedoes and small lighting, because the warp nacelles go down here. Huh, kind of a little bit of a dummy on that one. Same thing on the nacelles. Gotta have to remove the middle in here for the lighting. But something I did kind of notice that just really tripped me out here is I'm wondering if they just used the same mold for the Enterprise on this, because it has spots. It has a spot for the spotlights on the front lower part of the nacelle as the Enterprise. Well, on the Enterprise, that's to point and aim like at the saucer, and I believe part of the secondary hull. But on here, these are on the bottom. So what the f is it aiming at? It ain't going up, because you can't. So I gotta rewatch Wrath of Khan to make sure that that they didn't light that for no fucking reason. But if they did, you kind of have to do it. But really, it makes no fucking reason. But my real gripe about how lazy they got with here is is basically the bridge and the secondary, not the bridge and the planetary sensor. So let me point out the two saucers from the Enterprise and the Reliant, especially when it comes to the bridge area. Even the plastic coloring is different too. This is like off-white and this is bright white. If you notice the difference between the Enterprise and the Reliant, the Enterprise has these like ridges, whatever. That's so the bridge can sit on. And there's a couple spaces in between them. Well, that's like the same way for the Giant 350. So you can actually have lighting in there because there is like spacing for it. That's fucking cool. Well, obviously on the Reliant, there is nothing. But if you look at the both bridges between the Reliant and the Enterprise, they're basically the same thing, other than one's more flatter than the other. And one's just a hair bit smaller. The Enterprise is a little bit smaller, but... So, I'm going to have to make my own dumb little ridges, so that's what I have a couple of pieces of polystyrene here for. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's go to the lower planetary sensor. Now, no need to show the saucer on the Enterprise for that one. They're basically the same thing. But both planetary sensors are not. And it's based on how they made it. Their design's supposed to be exactly the same. The Enterprise has the two vents on each where each light is. They got that detail on here. The Reliant, nothing. The Enterprise, right on the dome, has the rings. The Reliant does not, even though it should. Let's flip it over, other than cutting out the posts and all the other stuff. The Enterprise is basically hollow. Easy to carve out the windows, just like I did before. The Reliant is solid freaking plastic, except for right in the dome. That's it. So, how I had to do that? Same file that I used to make the windows for the Enterprise, except I just had to go crisscross, crisscross. That way at least kind of lines them up. But it took a lot more work because there's a lot more material I had to go through. And I need some type of groove to actually put, you know, my wiring for the little SMDs I got to put in here. So I'm putting in 4 of them because I'm going to have them go in each direction, and they got to be powerful enough to aim out. So yeah, they were kind of cheap on that part, so I wouldn't be surprised on where else I'm going to be finding where they skimped out at. So I'm going to move most of this to the paint area, and then we're going to actually modify the bridge part first because I want to get that done before we do any light blocking. So I'm going to move this and we'll kind of start on the bridge here. Alright. Okay. Why I left that one here. So now I'm going to deal with the bridge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a fine Sharpie. I'm just going to make a mark on where I need to have, oh, that one's in the wrong spot, right there. The openings. Okay, so what I have represented in black is where not to put a piece of polystyrene. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of measure out where I need my polystyrene, and then just take a pair of sharp scissors and cut it, and then I'll cut the same one because it's the same mirror image side. The fun part here now is gluing it and keeping it stable enough. Come here. Right, there's that one. So you're probably going, lazy tweezers. Too lazy to fucking get it out right now. Small glue. Will actually work fine as soon as it sets up. Don't drop it like that. Oh. All right. Now, need to get a rough size of this one. Thing is, it's going to have a curve here, so it's got to be a little bit longer. All right. So I'm going to cut this. And then cut this. Actually, before I cut it, I want to kind of give it like a little bit of a bend using my Sharpie here, because it has a curve that seems similar to that. Because there's a curve right here in the front, so if I don't do that, it'll be all funky weird. Kind of pre-shapes it, you know, massages it. All right, bit of glue. Now, I'm not being too perfect. Even I gotta trim some of this, it's like still a bit too long. As in too perfect on the height on this, because I'm going to sand it down evenly. And a lot of it's going to be removed anyway, so. Remove that much, I'm sure I got to remove the same thing. Come here. Yes, I know, lazy. I should be doing this part in tweezers. But I got to do it. Hey, I just glued it to myself. I know I can do. Don't try this at home, kids, but I'm gonna do it. Sprue cutter. Somebody just glued the sprue cutter. Hey, that's a weird. That didn't work. I'm so f***ing lazy, I swear. Just get in the tweezers. They're like about a few feet from you. They're not in arm's reach right now. use what you got at the moment. What I say. Okay. So now I need one for the back. So do a little measure. Okay. I don't care if it's a little bit long anyways. Probably all yelling at me, what the f***? Get some f***ing tweezers, I know you have it. Just lazy. Of course, you know, it's like hell picking it up. So, bridge is done, sort of. Finalizing position. I'm gonna leave this guy right there so it can set up. In fact, I may even just wait on it. I'm gonna go ahead and just set my pieces up for light blocking, but still we're gonna come back and do this before that. So I want to make sure this is all done and ready to go before that. So yeah, give me 1 second, we'll finish this guy up. So it's time to sand down the Reliant bridge. To make things a little easier, I just trimmed off some of the excess with, you know, screw cutters, just to roughly make it lower, so that way they don't come snapping off, because these pieces of polystyrene are pretty thin. So I got myself a piece of sandpaper, 320, just because this is thin polystyrene. There's not much it's going to take to knock it down, so I'm just going to go ahead and just plane it down. And it shouldn't take long. Just going in different directions, forward, backward, sideways, diagonally, circles. It don't matter. Just keep an eye on it until you get to the right height that you like. Very, very close. There's going to be a little bit of putty work just to round it a little bit, but deal with that later. I just want to be able to get the light block this thing. Sorry if my hand was in the way. Okay. Want to actually open up the front of the bridge a little bit more so I can just snap a piece of it off. Trim it up. Have a good look at it, make sure it's centered. I can clean this up later a little bit more if need be, but yeah. Match it up a little. Okay. So, we'll just stay on there. God, it's summertime, huh? You. Let's try that again. So, happy with that. So now, time to get set up for light block and get the pieces for both the Enterprise and the Reliant, and we'll start dealing with the whole light blocking process from the inside. I'm not going to really do it on the outside, except for some adhesion promoter, because that's the first step. So we get set up for that, and we're going to do some light blocking. All right, so to start, we need to put an adhesion promoter that's going to allow any type of paint to stick to the plastic. So I got two kinds here. I have this kind from Duplicolor, it's clear, and I have this one from Bulldog, and it's gray. I'm running low on both of them, so hopefully I'll have enough to do this. I'm going to primarily use the clear on the saucers because I plan on doing Raytheon lighting. So I'm going to do that, at least on the inside. I need to turn this on. So we'll start with this. All right. Now the rest, got my mic started? Good. The rest, I'm going to go ahead and use the Bulldog, because what's good about the Bulldog is that it's a darker color, so it'll also help with some light blocking. So I'm just going to keep it on the screw here. I'm going to have to hold it up because it's so low. Especially on where there's going to be a lot of light. Grab the hole for the Enterprise. And the neck. See now. Hold on, now I have to grab something to hold this. Or one of these. I'm just kind of going down to see where it's going to have a lot of light and use the Bulldog specifically for that. I have less Bulldog than I do of the clear stuff. So. Go ahead and definitely got to hit the back of this one. I'll just do all this one here. I'm going to have to do some in the front, so which we'll end up doing anyways. And it's like, why are you light blocking the pylons? There's no lights in there. Well, the plastic is thin, so just lighting in their environment will shine through it. So just might as well get everything. I got some splatter on this one. Fix that later. I'll just turn this over to be safe. So now I can't do any bulldog on these guys. So let me just set them aside. Should have actually set them aside to begin with. Probably time to take some of these and just go ahead and do the fronts. Might as well do the whole thing. Yeah, I'm running slow. Let me get these ones because they're going to have a lot of light in here. Come on, take it through. Can do it. All right. Now in this case, I could probably just, no, because I'm low, I have to do it this way. This is just adhesion promoter. I'm not worried about super imperfections. I can deal with that later. Alright, why are you stuck to it? Come on, you can do it. Come on, bridgey bridge. Might be the end of the line for this can. I gotta get the pylon. Let me at least get it with this. It'll give me something. Ah, yep, that's it for that. So we have to finish off with the clear. Move that out of the way. Back to my finger. Move it forward. Why am I moving it forward? Because we gotta do this now. Okay. So, adhesion promoter doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be pretty, you don't have to put on a lot. The purpose of it is so your paint can actually stick to the plastic. That's what this stuff really is. So, the next one is, after I'm going to let this dry for a little bit, it dries pretty quick, but I'll come back in about 30 minutes and then we'll just lay some black on the inside only. Right, see you then. The adhesion promoter is dried enough, so now we're going to put on some black only on the inside. Now, don't have to really use anything fancy. If you want to, that's your money. I'm just going to use the cheap because it's on the inside. You'll never see it. So, also, I have these masked off for my Raytheon. Of course, I went extra because I'm going to fade in more with an airbrush. And what I kind of did was I kind of used the, the pie wedge lines. I looked at it through a light and lined them up. Maybe you can see it this way. Hopefully you can see through it, through over here. You can see what I'm talking about. So it makes like an even guide. So let's get started. I think we'll just start with the warp nacelles. Now I'm not going to do I need to turn my fan on. I'm not going to do Raytheon for the registry on this, just too small, no point. Plus there's a tab that's right in the middle of it too. May take a few coats because you got to check at it through a light if you did it properly. Now, I don't care about overspray getting on the other side, no big deal. Gotta hit the little guys down here. Ah, don't you fling away, motherfucker. Saucer time. I'm not Raytheon in the lower saucer, just the upper. Move over there. So good thing about this stuff, it actually sets up pretty quick. So what you just got to do is when it's dry enough for you to handle, put it up to a bright light, you know, like lights, whatever. And if you can still see through it, like I still can, you're just going to have to reapply. Just keep doing that until no light shines through. I already know I'm going to have to do another coat, but no point of watching me do this exact same thing all over again. So I will finish light blocking all this stuff with just additional coats as it's needed. And then I guess after that, I don't know, I'll figure it out. You'll see. Actually, I forgot to mention before the transition is we actually have to put white back in here for the reflective, to reflect the light that's going to be in here. Of course, you notice I don't have all the pieces out like I did before, only because, well, only these pieces is going to have an LED somewhat inside where light has got to bounce around. So these pieces are going to have to coat them white. So here you go. By the way, just using some cheap white, nothing really fancy, because you're not going to see it. So you don't need to spend a fortune on something you're not going to see. So that's basically all it is. I'm gonna let this flash off a bit, because usually when you're spraying this type of stuff, it's kind of a little bit transparent, so some of the black is going to kind of show through, and sometimes it may require a coat or two. So I'm going to just end up probably putting another coat on, because you know, when I sprayed this, it was pretty much all white, but now you can kind of see some of the black going through it, which is normal. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But anyways, after this, I guess we can start figuring out the next step. Either planting LEDs or put in, actually I know what we could do, deal with some of the photo etch stuff. So yeah, we'll work with that.